All right, here's yours.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is wrong with this wire? Oh, sorry, man.
You can do it for me if you want. I'd appreciate it.
Kyle, any sentiments going back to Denver for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting thing, but it's always a little different. I played there once as a coach. It was my first game as a preseason coach when I was at Houston as a receiver coach, but it's my first time back there since then, and I'm looking forward to it. I love Denver. Grew up there. Spent most of my life there, even though I'd moved a lot. Pretty much moved there 3 different times, so it was a big part of my life, and it's where my wife's from and most of my close friends.
Do you think it means anything to your dad?
I don't. I mean, every game means a lot. I think he'd be lying if he always would like to. You always want to beat people that you used to work for. I mean, I feel that way when I play Tampa, when I play Houston. So I think everybody's like that, but it's not as big of a deal as I probably would have expected it to be 4 years ago. I think time's passed. I think it's not like it's the staff that replaced him. So, there's different coaches there, people he's close with and, respects a lot. So Denver's the team usually I'm pulling for with them being in the AFC and him also. But obviously we're not this weekend.
Kyle, I know we kind of ask you this every week, but talk about Robert Griffin III's effort last week, 84 yards on the ground, 11 carries. What was he able to do more than he was the previous week, and how did you think he looked?
I thought he looked good. I mean, just like you guys said it. He got the most carries I think he's had. I think he got some versus Dallas too, but it was very similar defenses, where the way they played the zone read and stuff, which definitely benefits because it gave him more opportunities to pull it. They were giving him that, and it was a decision that he's got to make based off what the DN does, and they were having him pull it. So he's got to read it right, and he did it the majority of the time right. And we got blockers out there, and when we got blockers out there, he's able to race everyone on the sidelines and make some plays, and when he does, it really helps us.
I'll go back to the Denver stuff real quick. It's got to mean something to him, though, when they do the pregame ceremony, and he kind of, I assume the crowd will give him a good reception. Just what that's going to mean to him. I know he's downplaying it all week, and you kind of have to get ready just to play a football game, but that stuff has to have some meaning to him.
I think it does. I think I can honestly say, like, us as coaches, we try our hardest to stay in our little holes and avoid all the noise that some of you guys give and stuff like that, I mean, that's just what you got to do to concentrate on your job and not make things too big of a deal. There's enough pressure to win in this league, and it's hard enough to win in this league every week. So I really don't think he does feel much right now. I mean, I don't feel anything right now. It's obviously a bigger deal for him than me. But, I mean, we're people too, and I'm sure it'll be different on Sunday when we wake up and you going into Mile High where he's got a lot of memories, and so I'm sure that'll definitely be a little bit different. But I really can't honestly say I don't think it's as big of a deal as I felt maybe 4 years ago, the year after he got let go and stuff.
What's your ticket situation? How many people are hitting you up for?
A lot of people have hit me up, but what people don't realize is if you want good seats, you better not go through us, because we get the worst seats possible offered by us. So the best seats I can get are like $60 seats, and last time I checked, $60 seats aren't that good in NFL stadiums. It's been a while since I've sat in them, but so I mean, I'll try to help out anybody who wants it, but it's definitely usually I'm their last option.
You guys had a little interest in Peyton Manning, had met with him. When you look back at that, did you guys think that you had a real chance? And do you ever think about, man, what would have been like if we had gotten him, and how would that have worked if you had drafted Robert as well?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, since once we made the trade, it was kind of out of sight, out of mind. But, back when one of the arguably the best quarterback of all time becomes available, you're going to do everything you can to try to go after and get him. And the fact that he was willing to meet with us was an exciting thing. And, I felt we did have a chance since he did meet with us. But, in the back of our minds, we knew his brother played in our division and stuff. So, we didn't know if that would be like his most ideal situation for him. But for him to sit down and talk with us and spend some time with us, we did feel we had a chance. But once that trade went through, it kind of was all out the window.
Robert's got a totally different style. But do you look at areas of his game when you're teaching him and try to show him things about the way Peyton does it and how he should implement it into his game?
I mean, you try to do that with every quarterback you see. We watch a lot of tape. Off-season is more of a time where you study other players and stuff, but, tape crosses over. We play other teams that Denver played when we're studying their defense, and you try to see how other quarterbacks attack them, and you can always show good things that they do, but, every quarterback's himself. Nobody's ever, I don't think, succeeded trying to be like somebody else. You got to be yourself, and there's always things you can take from other people's game, and Peyton's obviously does it as good as anyone does, so you always try to point those things out, but nothing in particular.
Jordan had the type of game a tight end hasn't had here in a couple decades, and not every tight end can have. What did you like about his performance, and what allows him to get open as much as he seems to?
Jordan can separate. Jordan can separate as good as any tight end I've ever had. We've had some decent guys here at separating. Owen Daniels for me in Houston was as good as anyone had been around too. But Jordan is wired to separate. His feet are always under him. He's fast enough to run away from people, but he can cut as good as anyone, and he's got as good of hands as you can have. So even if he doesn't separate too much, he can attack that ball, run through the ball. Catching's effortless for him, and you guys got to all see that on Sunday, but that is stuff that we expect out from him, and if you get him in man coverage, he's going to do that a high percentage of the time.
Your team is first team in 2+ seasons to have 200+ yards rushing, 200+ yards passing in 2 straight weeks here. What is that a product of?
I think it was, first of all, I think it's helped these last 2 weeks. We've done better on third down. I think earlier in the season we were last or like second to last in third downs, and we moved up to 13th, so we've done a much better job these last few weeks. When you do a good job on third down, you get to stay on the field more. Our goal is always to be balanced, so we're trying to be balanced, and when you stay on the field a lot, you get a lot of plays, and you try to make it balanced where you're trying to throw it as much as you run it. Usually the yards kind of end up close, and it is a good stat, but we only won one of those games, so it's really only helped us last week, not the week prior.
Kyle, Fred was inactive on Sunday. What has gotten him into that position where he's now sitting out of games?
It's mainly, other guys have stepped up. We're not at all trying to ride Fred off or saying that he's going to be done for us in the year. I really expect there's going to come a time where Fred needs to help us, but it is a week-to-week decision. Going into that game, we always decide based off personnel, coverages we're going against, packages we're going to use, what tight ends we want in certain situations. We felt better with Logan and Jordan and a lot of stuff we were doing. Niles is a really big special teams player for us who can also help us on offense, and I would love, if it was my choice, I'd dress 4 tight ends every single week. But it's not just about the offense. You got special teams and you got defense, and it's a whole team that it's tough sometimes to get 4 tight ends up. So when we're told we can only get 3, it's going to really depend on what we're trying to do and who we feel better with.
So many voices in his ear, so many people telling him how to play, which way to play, all that. Probably more so than the average player, I guess. Is there anything you address with him or kind of you do to make that easier for him when you're out there trying to coach him?
You just always try to remind all players, especially the quarterback, because the quarterback's going to get judged more than anybody. You have to be yourself, but you also have to continue to improve. So you got to look at yourself hard and try to get better in every facet of your game. Places that you struggle with, you got to try to get better at and look at everything to get better throughout the week, throughout the off season. But once it comes to Sunday, you got to play, and you can't be sitting there on Sunday trying to do something that someone's told you to do. You got to let it go. Playing the game to me is natural. You got to shut your mind off once you play, and you're going to usually play the way you've played your whole life. That doesn't mean you can work at stuff and get better at stuff, and it happens gradually. But the bottom line is you're going to end up being yourself and end up playing. And with Robert, it's just keep working at everything. But when Sunday comes, you just let it go, let it rip, and try to win the game.
He's pretty good at tuning all that out when he gets on the field.
Yeah, I do. I think Robert's a real confident guy. I think he believes in himself. I think he believes in his skills. And I think he struggles with – I think everybody struggles a little bit with a lot of the noise. That's why I say it's the more you can shrink your world in our position and not listen to anything, the easier it gets. But I think he's learning from it. I think he's getting better at it. And I think he's just working to get better in everything.
Denver's supposed to have Wesley Woodyard back in the lineup. They've been giving up a fair amount of points without him. Does having him back change things for their defense and change what they do?
Yeah, I don't see them changing scheme or anything, but he's a very good player. So the more better players they have out there, obviously the better they're going to be. They have given up yards, but it really doesn't mean much to me when I turn on the tape and I watch them. I see a very good defense. I think they were second in the league last year. They have pretty much the same players. I know they lost Duberville, but the replacement with Phillips have been playing really well. But I don't see a team that is ranked as low as they are. I know they're ranked low because of yards, but I see a very good defense who is capable of playing like a top 5 defense, just like they were last year.
Roy was utilized in the red zone a lot more often this past week than is typical. What do you like about him in the red zone? And can you foresee a situation where Alfred gets back to getting those carries, or is that kind of how you see things moving forward?
No, it just played out that way. I mean, the only time Roy's really designated to go in is third down, but we tried to keep them both fresh. We've been trying to keep them fresh a lot more lately. Roy got in on a couple plays. We went no huddle a few times, and so he just stayed in there, and it just worked out that way. It wasn't anything going into the game that Roy's going to be our red zone back. The only thing we designated is he's our third down back, and we tried to keep both guys fresh, and Roy got in there, and we quickly went into a no huddle, and he stayed in there, and he got the touchdowns.
Mike said he thought he was fresher, maybe just had more burst, a little more than other people around him just because he wasn't in for the entire drive. Did you see that? Do you feel like you benefited from that?
Yeah, I think so. I think, when you go no huddle, the defense obviously gets tired, which is a big advantage for the offense, but the offensive guys get pretty tired too. And when you can bring in a back fresh like Roy, who as fast as it is and is our most explosive guy, I think it is a big benefit. You get, the guys are tired, they're not running as fast, and now you get your fastest back in there, and I think it does help.
With a lot of the young quarterbacks come into the league with more mobility and a lot of the zone read and things like that, do you see the NFL venturing that way and kind of away from the pocket passer like Peyton Manning, or do you think that kind of quarterback will always still have a place in the league?
Oh, yeah, that type of quarterback will always have a place. I mean, the NFL is – you got to get a good quarterback, and you can be a good quarterback any type of way possible. I mean, if you can do it doing the zone read, you're going to do that until they stop it, and then you better know how to throw too. And then you're going to throw until they worry about throwing, and you can go back to the zone read. Some guys who can't do the zone read, they better be very good quarterbacks because that's all they're going to have. And guys are going to always be trying to stop one thing, and they really don't have anything to offset it to go to using their legs and stuff, so they got to always be pure passers. But you're getting more guys doing that scheme in college, so you're getting more legitimate quarterbacks who can move and have practice at it. So I think there's always going to be room for both. I mean, I don't think just because 5 years from now people like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning aren't going to play in the league. I mean, you can watch them for 10 years and they're still picking people apart without the threat of their legs. So it's really, you're just looking for good quarterbacks. You can win with anybody. You just need to find a scheme that fits your personnel and make sure you have good players.
Kyle, Von Miller came back on Sunday in that game against the Colts for the first time from his 6-game suspension. What did you see in that game, and then how did he look compared to what he was last year?
I mean, I don't see much difference. I mean, he probably wasn't out there quite as much, but, I mean, he's definitely someone who worries you and gives you nightmares as a coach. I mean, he's someone you got to account for all the time. I know he didn't have all the splash plays last week that people were expecting him to, but he was close. You got to get rid of that ball because it's a matter of time before he gets there. It's extremely tough for anybody in this league to block him one-on-one, and he's going to get to the quarterback. You just hope that you got plays and people open where you get rid of it before he gets there.
Kyle, when you guys have mixed tempo on a specific drive in and out of turbo, have you seen any appreciable effect, and what is the benefit, I guess, to not doing it all the time, versus some of the time or when you want?
Well, basically you want to be able to run what your players are good at. I truly believe that NFL, everyone has tape, everybody runs pretty similar plays, and coaching and scheme is about executing, and if you can execute plays at a high tempo, it definitely does give you advantage, but you can't do your entire offense at an up tempo unless that is your entire offense. I know that's Philly's offense, and I think Buffalo's done some stuff like that, but that is your scheme, and when you have a scheme like that, that's what you work on year round. That's what you do in the off season, what you do in training camp, and we do have a little package that gives us an option to go into it, but if we did, you can't just stay in it the whole time. You can't run your whole offense. You're limited with formations. You're limited with some of the stuff you can do, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to, the O-line's got to make counts on who to block on every play. And sometimes when the defense is confused and they're not lined up, even though they're confused, we're a little confused also, because we need to know where people are, and we got to get 11 guys on 11 guys and make sure everyone's accounted for. So sometimes you go really fast and you make the wrong call, you don't know where people are, and there's a free hitter right in the backfield, and it's 2nd and 12 before you know it. And if you mix it in, you can have successful plays and you get everyone targeted right. It's great, and it has been great for us at times, just like it was versus Oakland. A couple series in Oakland, we had a couple quick 3-and-outs because of it too. We did in Dallas a little bit and had some mixed reviews there, and I thought it was the best for us last week. But I think it's something that definitely helps us, something that's always good to have. But the bottom line is you got to execute, and we'll always do it if we can execute. And when we're limited on the stuff we can do, we can always quickly huddle up and make a call.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right, guys.